Good morning, happy Monday. Michelle Lee here, your spiritual coach and mentor, jumping in here to talk about a little bit more about becoming 5D. And the one very important thing, there's probably lots of things you can let go of, but a super really important thing that I think a lot of us spend our time in, and when you release this, it will raise your vibration. And remember, we're talking about becoming the vibration, the frequency of the fifth dimension. The earth ascends as we ascend. The earth ascends through us. And so it's not the outside world that's going to become the fifth dimension. We become the fifth dimension. And there are 3 pillars to becoming fifth dimensional. And as you may remember, those pillars include becoming embodied in your unity consciousness. And we do that by healing those 4 core wounds. Embodying our personal sovereignty through declarative prayer and powerful rituals. And what we're talking about today is embodying our wholeness, our divine power through integrating our shadow. So when we have all those 3 points in place, we have that perfect triangle, which is the powerful Trinity. The powerful Trinity. So when you tune in, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you're catching this on the replay, be sure and post #replay in the comments below. If you have any questions about what I addressed today, post them in the comments below. I will come back and answer all comments. If you're catching this on YouTube, be sure and subscribe so you get notifications of when I go live and when I bring up some meditations and activations. I'll be doing those as well. But today, let's talk about that one energetic piece that you can start releasing right now that's going to raise your vibration. And that is judgment. We all have well, most of us do. I think we all do, right? We have a Judge Judy that lives inside of us. And that typically is a shadow part. You know, we feel ashamed of being judgmental, or we recognize that we're judgmental. And then we build that up a little bit by feeling shame and guilt around being judgmental. But just understand that that is a part of our shadow self, and judgment serves a purpose as well. It's just when we use it against ourselves and others that it doesn't support. We have to use good judgment in the world of duality all of the time. But when we find ourselves judging situations, judging people, then we are actually lowering our vibration, and we're seeing the illusion of self and others. We are adding to the illusion of separation. So it's very important to recognize when you're in judgment and understand that underneath this judgment is a desire. It's a desire. And if you address what the underlying desire is, then you can release that judgment and replace it. Replace it. And I'll tell you what you're going to replace judgment with. But underneath the judgment is typically a need to feel good about ourselves, and that we can only feel good about ourselves, feel worthy and lovable if we compare ourselves with others that aren't living up to our expectations, right? It's like judging others so that you feel better about yourself. Right then, right there, right? It's like, at least I'm not doing that. At least I'm not behaving in that way. At least it's a pretty low bar, right? When we look at it that way. And then judging others, typically it shifts. It's a projection of our own shame and guilt and fear of rejection and abandonment, those 4 core wounds, right? So good morning, Linda, so happy to have you here. As I talked a lot about last week around the 4 core wounds, the shame, the guilt, the fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, of course, that is underlying all of our shadow aspects. All of our shadow aspects were born and created out of those 4 core wounds. So recognize that when you recognize that shadow of judgment, that you're projecting your own 4 core wounds onto other people. So it is a need to avoid those senses, those feelings that we have been hiding. So we hide them under judgment. So what do we replace this with? 2 things can help you move out of judgment. And I talk about this a lot in Making Light of Your Shadow. And you can actually get the free masterclass, Prelude to Making Light of Your Shadow, where I take you through some powerful exercises to help you become aware of shadow aspects and how to transmute them. So when you are looking at, when you're in judgment, where can you find radical approval? We talk a lot about radical approval, like approving of everything. The truth is we judge other people for what we have. We are projecting what we dislike in ourselves onto other people. So when you make the commitment to be radically approving, like, okay, I'm going to be radically approving, and you see something that you judge and you go, okay, I'm radically approving. How can I relax in this and breathe and just allow that person to be who they are? Okay, so we do this with ourselves too, because we give people as much approval as we give ourselves. So doing this outside and inside, it's the same thing. If you see something in yourself, when you find yourself judging, right, and you're like, oh crap, here I go judging again, and I'm supposed to be radically approving. Radically approve of your judgment, right? Going into that radical approval. Thanks for the thumbs up. And then the next piece, and this goes for whether you're judging other people or judging yourself, is when you recognize that you are judging, go into curiosity. Curiosity, right? So if you find yourself judging yourself, you can go to a journal or just inward for a few minutes and go, interesting. What do I believe about myself that I'm judging? What does it mean? I'll give you an example. I was working with a client, and she was talking about, oh, well, I feel incapable when so-and-so talks to me like that. And I go, oh, incapable. We don't want to be incapable. But if we're using radical approval and curiosity together, it's like, oh, well, what's wrong with being incapable? Right? We push something away and we're like, oh, I'm incapable. I don't want to be incapable. I'm not incapable. Truth is, we are all more incapable than we are capable. So using an example, I know I'm definitely capable of doing this live video. I'm capable of teaching on the shadow integration and the 4 core wounds. I'm a capable coach, right? But there's a lot more that I'm incapable of until I learn it, or until, like, I'm not a capable singer. I would never be a singing star. I would never be, I would never be a pop star, right? Because I'm incapable of that. I don't have that. I'm incapable at this point of re-roofing my home, right? Not that I couldn't learn it, I couldn't be trained, but at this point I couldn't I couldn't climb up on my roof and re-roof it. I'm incapable of laying carpet. I'm incapable of hang gliding. I'm incapable with surfing. So if you look at these stories we tell ourselves, like, I'm not incapable. Truth is, we are incapable. Can you make peace with that? Can you be radically approving of that? And the more we expand our ability to be all the things we don't want to be, our ability to be radically approving, we actually dissipate the judgment and we become more curious and we become more radically approving. We approve of everything. And one of the axioms in existential kink, which is one of the processes I use with my clients and in my programs to integrate the shadow, there's how many? 7 axioms, and it says the degree of being turned on in life, the degree to which we can experience pleasure and joy, is a matter of our level of total approval. So the more we resist, the less joy we have. The more we approve of, the more joy and pleasure that we have. So today I invite you to really begin to notice, where do you go into judgment about yourself and others? What we give to others, we give to ourselves, and vice versa. And what we withhold from others, the approval we withhold from others. And if you know, like every person I have ever worked with in my career of coaching, they want to be approved of, unconditionally approved of, unconditionally loved. And it's that very thing that we withhold from ourselves and from others. And so I invite you today to really look at where you're judging, how you can be radically approving of that thing, and getting curious with it, right? Like, how am I that thing? Because whatever you're judging out there, you are that thing. And if you want to dive a little deeper for absolutely free in your own time, Tori's going to pop into the comments a free training, a free masterclass, 3 hours. I broke it up into 3 different parts. It's called Prelude to Making Light of Your Shadow. We go deep into what your shadow really is, and I take you through 2 powerful exercises that work together of really discovering what shadows are controlling you, and then how to alchemize. I take you through a process of alchemizing that shadow and really recognizing what its gift is for you, receiving that gift, and then alchemizing it to love, freedom, approval, all of that good stuff. So have an amazing day. Mwah. I will see you in a couple of days. Bye for now.